I can't wait for picking up scraps, says the unassuming fan. Rah, says Invy's burnout. Hey everyone, I thought I would go over my development experiences, essentially being a mini documentary over picking up scraps, why it failed, and why anyone else looking to do something similar shouldn't. To start things off, I thought I'd mention everyone else who's currently doing one or has done one in the past. Just to set the tone for the rest of the video. Pizza tower recycled by Alien 31, seemingly forgotten. Leftover tower by Mr. Alien, canceled. Leftover pizza by Brench, canceled. But the creator has considered returning to it. Scrapped floors by Tictorian, canceled. Occult villa by Object, seemingly canceled. Finally, the most recent to bite the brick, Picking Up Scraps by me. The only other one like the others that I know of that is still running is Relic Tower by Pizza Blood. All the others were blown away, and not for no reason. At first glance, I thought this was a supreme opportunity to exploit a trope Noon really had by that point. This was around March of 2024, when only PTR and Leftover Tower existed. So I went into the project open-minded about how things were going to go. Turns out, as time went on, that got a lot more complicated. At the very beginning, a false April Fool's video, turns out that video becomes my biggest video. So I made a Discord and prepared to make a second video. That video was on Old War, Rest in Peace, I Will Try to Forget You. Somehow that video also ended up exceeding the views of the previous. I thought I'd test my luck a third time with the Dragon's Lair. Sort my videos by popularity and you'll see how that went. A few days after posting the third video, I had already gotten around 80 members in the server, an unexpected number for me at the time, as my personal server only had around 40 and had existed for about a year at this point. This is likely what started the first reason for the project failing. In short, expectations. From the very start, I had enjoyability in mind, as well as a decent amount of quality. Said quality would later pour out in the forms of music tracks, but still good quality nonetheless. However, at the peak of its success, drama hit me like a freight train, which began a 5-month journey through hell and back, as well as the second reason for the project's failure, which came in several forms. I'm not going to go into specifics there, but I'll simply state that at the time, people didn't like me, and the mod was overshadowed by that hate I was receiving. And while I did recover from this, it was very apparently that the damage it caused could not be undone. Back to expectations, people started expecting a lot out of us, something I was happy to provide, but also something I couldn't provide. See, the drama that flew in also brought with me a foul odor. Said odor likely drove away countless potential devs with very high skill sets. However, that is not to say I lacked any. I definitely had my fill of them, but that still proved to not be enough. I'll admit, a lot of this was probably my fault for handling a project so callously, but I don't think it could be prevented. Knowing countless other more talented people folded before I could. That's no flex, by the way, just makes me more stubborn. As the server got bigger, people expected a lot more, such things I could not provide. And while from the inside I thought the feedback was almost unanimously positive, the outside view wasn't, mostly due to reason 2 as stated before, but even after the fact. Some still held grudges, some just always disliked the mod. I couldn't change how they think, and I accepted that and continued to work. Then around October or September, the third reason hit me like a brick. Burnout. As stated in the exposition of the video, burnout was undoubtedly the straw that broke the camel's back. Not the lashes from avoidable drama, not the pressure of people awaiting your production. No, the third issue was within my own confines. Me fearing I couldn't provide for the first reason, fearing I couldn't crawl out of the second reason. Although later that same month in September, I did finally crawl out of the pit. Not just that though, I was getting bored of making these things. Or in better terms, I was tired of picking up the scraps. Over time, people noted and told me that my quality was decreasing over time. Even though I later got level designers, I felt like all those previous problems still remained. Now more people were waiting for their next order of business, or got their orders and never heard back from them, even after several notifications, personal messaging, and warns of team removal, which I followed through with. This, more than all the others, was a consequence unavoidable. Burnout was expected. When I thought maybe things wouldn't be so bad, boom! Reason number 4, demotivation. Demotivation was terrifying. Before I could work hours and hours on one thing in the mod. Then later to even now, I can work on it 20 minutes tops before I just run flat out of ideas, plans, or a drive to work. It was also around this time, December or so, that I just got tired of the game. Or at the very least, the same cycle of playing the game, which I have done for over 100 real days. Just about 2,500 hours. As you all know, I cut off the tumor on the last day of January. Promises unfulfilled, but hopefully a bittersweet ending to come. Now on to the reasons why I believe you're vastly better off making something else. And no, this isn't intended to drive you away to be rid of competition. I just genuinely want you to understand the core flaws with every last detail. First off, I want to cover each individual level. Starting off with Kung Fu, the problems are easy to uncover. This level is probably the worst of the bunch, not only because of its long history of development hell from pre-launch point of view, but also because of its mechanics. Beginning with the arena mechanic, it's honestly not too bad, although it has its problems, like making a fast-paced game a bit slower. This is an issue I personally have with arenas, but not everyone shares these complaints. Secondly is the use of the barrel. It just doesn't feel right to use. I'm not sure why. If anything, this level desperately needed its own unique transformation, rather than a reused one. I have these same reasonings for the ball state, although it's extremely unutilized in the base game, so it could be applicable. As for general issues, the first is more glaringly clear than all others. The level is far too similar to the Pig City, not only because of the reused assets Pig City has from Kung Fu, but also due to the theming and general quirks around the level, like enemies, level structure, and more. Second, I want to discuss Pinball, a genuinely horrible level already, a level that solely utilized the ball state never worked. I don't think anyone thought this level was their favorite. Third is Stronghold. This is probably one of the only levels I sense would fit in the final game, or have enough potential to share launch qualities. It's essentially vertical blood sauce dungeon, but there's many ice-based mechanics that received a one-time use in Freezerator to make the gimmicks not feel repetitive. There's nothing to really go wrong with this level, except for that verticality could become a problem if it is not as fine-tuned as Blood Sauce Dungeon. Fourth is the Dragon's Lair. Personally, the best level fit for the final game. Despite being outdated, the original level actually utilizes all of its mechanics extremely well, which I cannot say the same for just about all the levels. Props to MacPig for pulling this off. My only complaint is the core mechanic, the junk. Although I believe fine-tuning could make it work. Top? Yeah, no, I'm joking. Pizza Heaven. While being a concept level, there's nothing to really talk about. I sense the level could act as a secondary John Gutter, given the theming and such. Free falling. It's impossible to work with this level. The core mechanic of this level was an aspect of the moveset that has long since been removed. Pizza Land. Another level that could potentially make it into the final game. With some fine-tuning, the only thing that really needs to be fixed with its core mechanics would be to fine-tune the clown transformation at its core. Mansion, I'm going to contradict myself. This level is the most fit for final game. Hell, it almost made it into the final game. The only thing that killed it was that MacPig flew too close to the sun. That's it, otherwise a near-perfect level with many possibilities to make it work. With the levels out of the way, I want to conclude by outlining the creative difficulties with the mod. First off, assets, you've got an ultimatum from the get-go to decide here. Reuse those unused assets or make new ones. Either works, but reusing might remove from your professionalism and people might take it that you're lazy. Second is level design. Yet again, another ultimatum. Do you recreate the level design or make a new take with your own ideas? Again, either works, and this time it's not all that consequential unless you're doing pinball. God bless you. Third is the music. This is not really an ultimatum. Instead, it's an obligation that could have already been filled. For instance, Of all the unused level themes, only Strong Cold has a secret theme. Others have made their own versions of the other songs, but do you want to use them? I personally went the extra mile, making unique music and also expanding upon others, like Leaning Nightmare and Toxic Rave, despite going unused. While I am trying to deter you from falling fate to what I and many others fell to, it's all up to you. Do you want to take this on? If so, I wish you the best of luck. Cheers.